As you all know, the patch notes came about and we are all kind of screwed. The arch nemesis mods are going to be harder, and we had other modifications too that makes the game a little harder for everyone. But this doesn't count, because if it just balances for everyone, it just does it for everyone. It doesn't change like one build or another. But their changes to some of the uniques really helped a bunch of my builds. Let's start with Dyed Bale here. Okay, you have this beautiful baby here. It became this here. The Dyed Bell unique helmet no longer has 20% increase in melee damage, or adds 10 to 20 physical damage to attacks. Instead, it now causes skills which exert an attack to have 20 to 30% chance to not count that attack. That is a mild buff. If you can get, I don't know, a good lab enchant in one, you could get it really working well for you. Otherwise, I just go for the normal, rare, very good helmet for you. But there's that chance that this actually is a buff not only of quality of life but effective DPS as well, because of you are going to go slamming, you have to exert your attacks, or else it's going to be a little less efficient than normal. Secondly, I got a variation from my Hexblast build, and I got also a possible quality of life from my Hexblast build. As you can see, we have the first item here, that is Chalice of Horrors. Chalice of Horrors changed drastically, as you can see from the patch notes here. No longer has chance to block, max life, or damage leech's life against cursed enemies. Instead, it now has plus 20% chance to block attack damage from cursed enemies, which is good, of course, and inflict DK on enemies you curse with hacks or mark skills, dealing 700 chaos damage per second for 8 seconds. So your DK damage will scale with chaos damage, with damage over time, with a little bit of the thing, so it's not like a big DPS boost. It's more like the 20% chance to block attack damage. I mean, if you're really struggling with a Hexblast build, which, by the way, I normally go for a Prism Guardian, because the best version of my Hexblast build uses low life. Not even low life, uses actually Petrified Blood, so I will need to be reserving some life here. But it's kind of bricked now, because they removed like so many possibilities of it, so you have to change your shield. Either you go for a rare shield, or you, I don't know, go for Chalice of Horrors, right? The new one. It's going to give you a lot of block, attack block, which is like always desirable. A little bit of DPS in exchange of it for a very budget build. Together with that, Duader's Scorn as another variation of the helmets. Normally I just go for a good Hubber Circlet with this build, because like I said, I go for a mixed energy shield life build with a lot of chaos resistance, praying for not receiving chaos damage over time. I need hits, and Duader's Scorn could be an option. Sometimes could be a budget option, but look here. The Duader's Scorn unique helmet no longer has 20% increased elemental damage, or 10 to 20% increased damage with hits and ailments per curse on enemy. Instead, it now adds 37 to 71 chaos damage per curse on enemy. So this was cool. Okay, 10 to 20% increased damage with hits and ailments per curse on enemy. It was definitely strong, but this here seemed stronger. I mean, it's just added chaos damage per curse on enemy. It's flat damage, and a variety of times flat damage it works better than just the increases that you get. You can get that from, for example, the analysis of builds that really benefit from flat damage from jewels. You invest in some jewels, get like 4 to 5 jewels, and you get like flat physical damage or flat elemental damage, and then your damage goes up a million or several millions sometimes. It's really good. And here, 37 to 71, that is a lot of damage, dude. That, for me, it looks like it's more than 10 to 20. It definitely looks, and since we are going to be inflicting 3, 4, 5 curses on the enemies, so that's going to be a lot of flat damage. Like from 165, 170 to 350 flat damage, flat chaos damage per curse on enemy. And we have the sentency here that allows us to really inflict a lot of increased and more chaos damage. So I mean, that's going to be really a lot. Because from this one here, 10 to 20, it was that. It was solid. But then you have the 37 to 71 here. It's flat damage, therefore it probably will get increases and more chaos damage that you already have. So that's a very good option. Since we are going to lose a little bit of auras from possibly defenses, right? From the not having the Prism Guardian work as well as before, because of the patch note modifications on mana reservation and life reservation, probably we'll have to compensate in other areas. Like we have to go for a really strong shield instead of just having determination, and then we get the damage from the helmet, possibly though it is scorn. That's not going to be coveted, at least for me. For the next one, it's my Death Soul build. I have Immortal Flash here, which I don't have one also. Might have here. No, I don't have here. And Immortal Flash now has regenerates 200 to 350 life per second. It was a lot before, but it was not crazy lot. Like, this is an absurd. Like, if you get a 320 to 350 life roll, regen per second, that's a lot. And of course, my Death's Oath build really relies on the yellow items to get the resistances from, because I invest a lot of just in regen and in damage over time and chaos damage, so that build gets really online. And I love this build. It's a lot of quality of life. Everything explodes around you. It's just beautiful. Your defenses and offenses come also from many curses that you reserve. But so therefore, one of the problems is that I rely a lot in life and resistances from my belt. Look at this belt, god damn it. But then Immortal Flash giving this much life regen? I mean, the build with the passives and the gear that I have gives me 672. It's one of the layers of defense of this build. Like, damage over time, it's much more mild, much milder than before with this much life regen. Of course, we have a degen, right, of 112, but that's not much, because you have this much surplus, just like Righteous Fire. But with this much here, well, it's a really like a good boost to two things: damage over times that would affect you, and also the several hits that you take in like a very fast section, and that's going to be a little more, I don't know, reduced the threat of that, of dying. So yeah, that's probably one of the options that you can get, but it's kind of hard because to fit the Immortal Flash there, you will need resistances from other items much more. But that would be great. That would be great. We would even also, we would not need to go here, for example, to get the regenerate 1.8% of life per second. Of course, we'll lose the increased stun threshold and this life rolls here as well. But it's a stretch to go here because of this 1.8 and also because of the life. We could go for other places as well, or some cluster jewels. We could get some more jewel nodes, and that would be open with this belt. But we have to see. Now we got a great buff for your animated guardians. Of course, if you go animated guardians to both your minion builds. I have 3 minion builds going on right now. All of them are like fun to play, and they have a lot of quality of life. The Reaper is just a little bit tricky because you have to be very active for it to actually work. But anyways, the 3 of them get benefited strongly by this one here. And you and nearby allies gain 50% increased damage, previously 15. It was a must before, now it's absolutely necessary. You have to have your animated guardian. I have one here, right? You and nearby allies gain 15% increased damage. This is now 50. 50! That's a lot of damage. You cannot let this go. It's pretty good now. Talking about minion builds, we have Montegru Grasp here, which I love to use, especially in the beginning of a league, because the minions really, I mean, the zombies have like they are very powerful. They become very powerful. You can have this build together with the amulet, have the links of the builds all here, and together with the Learcast, right? The animated guardian is going to be buffing your builds, your minion builds. This baby here got a big buff. Look here. It's now 100 to 105% more physical damage for your zombies. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this scepter makes your zombies be divided by 2. Like, if you have 10, you're going to have like now 5 zombies, but they're now big, much more alive. They inflict much more physical damage, and their enemies, when they are killed, they explode in fire damage. It's a lot more. It's so much more, depending on your role, right? You would want here a 117% more roll, but I'd be glad to find one in the beginning of the league, like 100% more. And enemies killed by zombies is exploded in 50% of their life, as fire damage previously was 20%. So this build definitely doesn't struggle with clear speed. You just invest in the physical damage of them, and they just kill everything. And the damage from their total life of the corpses is going to just burn everything around them. It's so cool. That's a good one now. Still talking about minions, we have now the Wraith Lord. The Wraith Lord, this baby here was simple. I mean, it was, I don't know, a leveling unique for minion builds 3 years ago. Now look at that. Look at the difference that we have now. The Wraith Lord unique helmet no longer has minions regenerate 1% of life per second or plus 1000 to spectrum maximum life. Instead, it now cannot have non-spectrum minions and plus 2 to maximum number of specters. I mean, this is really good. This is really good. So plus 2 to maximum number of specters instead of just plus 2 to level socketed minion gems. This is so cool. I mean, of course, you are going to be losing on the bonus of the Learcast here, right? That's going to be 50% like increased damage of the minions. But 2 more specters? Wow, dude. That's a lot more damage, pseudo. I have a build with Kitava's Heralds, which I love. It's so cool to play early league, mid league, that sometimes gets to 5 specters. And now I might get to 5, 6, or 7 depending on my gear. Oh shit, that's really powerful. That's really powerful. Of course it's going to be just specters. I had zombies in this build to make for mid shields, like de facto, like actual mid shields. They had the mid shield support as well, but they were protecting me. Now with 2 more of these Kitava Heroes just being melee and engaging the enemy instead of just casting projectiles, pretty good, pretty good. It's a variation, right? You have to test, but it looks definitely good. Now I have a classic heavy strike build that is so cool, and there's the bone shatter too. I have 2 builds with of strike skills, melee strike skills. I know I'm crazy to play hardcore with this, but they're so cool. I like them so much. I cannot explain. But these 2 builds, they have a problems. I need to use alternate weapons for splash damage. So now with the Maginot's Vice, you have something very interesting here, a cool interaction. Instead, it now has 100% increased knockback distance, melee hits with strike skills always knockback, and melee strike skills deal splash damage to surrounding targets. It also now has plus 50 to strength, plus 100. So yeah, this here, melee strike skills deal splash damage to surrounding targets, makes it possible to just gem swap. Because one of the things with the 2 builds, the Bone Shatter and the Heavy Strike, is that in my splash, in my clear speed setup, I have Ancestral Call and Melee Splash. If you miss one of the 2, you just can't clear. It's very bad. It's really bad. Just can't. So now, since we have Maginot's Vice here allowing you to have splash damage for strike skills, you could just equip Ancestral Call and substitute for one of the other ones. Like for example, I would go multi-strike for the single target setup, because I just I don't know, I put an enemy against a wall and just kill it very fast, like that. Like, I don't know, 5 seconds, 2 seconds, depending on the boss. Sometimes 1 second, just and it dies very fast. And you can just gem swap now. And most of the enemies, anyways, like in the middle of the clear speed, the uniques that appear or strong rares, they die for the splash setup, anyways, because there's so many intersecting areas now. It's a lot. And now with this, even when you gem swap and you don't have answer call anymore, things are still going to be splashing. It makes for a very possible build without having to gem swap. But we'll see. We'll see. This looks definitely good. It's a thing to test. Now in other performance skills here, if you follow me, you know that I play skills that are not meta. I play Path of Exile, I try to be good at the game, I try to complete endgame content, and I play hardcore, but I don't like to play the meta builds. I like to play builds that I feel pleased about playing, and those include Firestorm, Fireball, Blazing Salvo, Veil Flame Blast. And now we got Blazing Salvo here being buffed, okay. We have, it's not as like a big buff, but it's definitely a buff, okay. It's now a little more damaging every part of the gem. And also we have here Veil Flame Blast. Now has 200% more spell damage for each stage, previously 140. That's a big buff. Like I used Veil Flame Blast to just clear single targets like unique bosses or strong rares. And it was overperforming. Now it's going to be just wow, holy hell. I have the video of the wagery of my league starts last league, Sentinel. It was just with Veil Flame Blast, just vanished. Imagine now. Of course, we're not talking about leveling here. We're talking about like end game bosses and shit. But that's going to be this is a big buff to two of my builds. I have a Blazing Salvo that uses Veil Flame Blast for single targets. I have a Firestorm build that uses Veil Flame Blast and Flame Blast, and I have a Fireball build that uses Veil Flame Blast. I probably will league start with Blazing Salvo Veil Flame Blast now. Like, why wouldn't I? It's like two of my cool skills here, like fire, go comes hard. This is cool. This is so cool. This league is promising a lot. So if you enjoyed the video, please like it, subscribe for more, and I see you in the next league, Lake of Kalandra. Let's hope that it's good. It looks good. Bye.